Last thing we want to talk about in Chapter 1 is briefly talk about problem solving. Now, these are all pretty easy examples. Once you get into Chapter 2 and forward from that, the problems aren't going to be quite this easy, quite this straightforward. So basically what you want to do is always read your problem. You want to identify the principles that apply to that problem. You want to write down your given quantities, sometimes even make a sketch. Determine what you need to solve for, what you have, double check your units, do any conversions, write down the equations that you're needing to use, rearrange those equations, keep in mind canceling units, keep in mind significant figures. And as we get into Chapter 2, I'm going to show you how we solve the problems where we make a list of everything that we're given and what we need to solve, and how we can use those formula sheets I've provided with you to determine what formulas you actually need to solve these problems. The equations that you have to be aware of in Chapter 1 is just the density equation. Density is mass over volume, and we will work with the density equation later on in the semester. What I would like to do now is just practice a few practice problems on solving equations, because we're going to be really getting into that in Chapter 2. So I want to just give you a couple problems of practice on how you go about solving equations. So this first equation, you have E equals mc squared, and you want to solve this for C. So I'm going to put solve for C. Okay, so we need to get C by itself. Now, anything you do to one side of the equation, you have to do to the other side. So in order to get C by itself, we have to divide both sides by M. Okay, that's going to allow us to cancel that M on that side, and we're going to have C squared equals capital E over M. But now you're asked to solve for C, not C squared. So to get rid of that squared, you're going to take the square root of both sides. And your final answer is going to be C is then going to equal the square root of E divided by M. In this next one, you have T equals M minus N, and you're solving for N. So here we want N by itself. Okay, so to do that, we are going to we're going to move N over because we wanted a positive quantity. So we're going to add N to both sides, and therefore this is going to cancel. So you're going to have T plus N equals M. And then what you're going to do is then subtract T from both sides. So that's going to allow the T's to cancel, and you're going to get N equals M minus T. And then the last one, we have D equals C over pi, and you're solving for pi. So one way to do it is to multiply both sides by pi. Pi is going to cancel, and then you're going to have pi times D equals C, and then you would divide both sides by D. D's are going to cancel, and therefore you're going to have pi equals C over D. Okay? And like I said, we're going to be doing a lot more of that in Chapter 2 and the chapters going forward from Chapter 2. But I just wanted to give you a little practice on those. Okay, so this ends the material for Chapter 1. Hopefully, if you have any questions, like I said, don't hesitate to contact me, and we will go from there.